So how should Christians deal with suffering? What do you do with all the sorrow, the grief, the anger, and the frustration that you experience when you have pain or loss? Do you bottle it up and ignore it? Do you numb the pain somehow? Do you just pretend that everything is okay? Well, the biblical answer to this is to lament. God wants us to lament. And a lament is simply a prayer of pain, a sorrowful prayer that's given to God. And there are many, many examples of laments in the Bible. Jesus offered a lament to his Father in the Garden of Gethsemane. He told his disciples that his soul was sorrowful to the point of death, and so he prays, he laments. In the book of Job, we see several chapters where Job laments. He expresses his sorrow and pain to God. The prophet Jeremiah laments several times in his prophecy, and he even writes a book of the Bible called Lamentations, where he laments over the destruction of Jerusalem. Laments typically consist of three parts. They usually begin with an address to God and some sort of complaint, an emotional expression where they usually ask a question like, God, where are you? Why are you allowing me to suffer? Why are you allowing wicked people to get away with their sin? The second part of a lament usually consists of a person then reflecting on what God has done in the past, how God has delivered his people. They reflect on God's promises and God's actions. And as they do so, they start feeling better. You start noticing that there's a shift in tone in the lament. And then the third part of a prayer of lament or a psalm of lament is some sort of statement of faith, a statement of hope that looks ahead to God's deliverance. It's also important to distinguish between a lament and a sinful complaint. Laments are technically complaints, but they are worshipful prayers. They are worshipful expressions of faith. When you think of sinful complaints, you might think of the Israelites complaining in the wilderness under Moses as they're headed to the promised land. Those complaints were rebellion. They were attacking Moses, they were attacking God, they were attacking God's character. While laments rely on God's character, they looked to God's love and God's justice and God's righteousness. Sinful complaints put distance between the person and God, whereas worshipful laments draw close to God in their complaints, like a child going to their parent during a time of trouble. And so don't bury the pain. Don't ignore it. Don't pretend that everything is okay. Rather, God invites you to take it to him, pray to him, and lament.